Hello, this is Eric of Eric Studio, also known as Spark E Studio. Looking at this Smallrig, model number 5227, or you could also call this V3 version. This is how you normally use it. See, I have a monitor here, and you have this tucked to the side because you don't need your screen. In fact, my screen's not even on, and a lot of these new monitors here even have the option of touch to focus functionality. Why am I reviewing this? Because here's my Nikon ZR I've been recording this entire video on, and yeah, this hitting the release button is really what ticked me off, and actually the reason I actually purchased this item I'm reviewing now. Now let's get started. Sparky Studio. Yeah. Included in the package we have this Arca Swiss type plate, 2 screws for mounting that plate to the bottom of our camera, an Allen key, the screen side plate. This is a Smallrig Advanced V3 plate. We have 3 different D-taps as well as USB Type-C up to 65 watts power delivery. Not bad at all. At the top end, we see locating pins with another 1/4 inch mount, as well as behind here are several 1/4 inch mounts, as well as 2 locating pin mounts. On the top, another 1/4 inch with locating pins as well. And on the back side, if you want to separate this, we see these 2 different screws, so we can actually remove the top from the base of the unit using the included Allen key to do so. We can also slide this over with a bit of adjustment. The clip here as well as here are both for cable organization, so we can slide it in here and here and here and here, and therefore we can keep everything nice and tidy. The Vmount release button can be locked into place by turning this little knob on top, and now it barely moves. And let's mount a Vmount battery. This is a Smallrig VB99 SE Mini. Let's apply this to this battery plate. Goes nice and smooth. A little bit of side movement, but it's not moving out. I just press the eject button. It comes off nice and smooth. Okay, now let's lock this in. So I'll turn this lever all the way down, and let's see, it's not coming out whatsoever. Awesome. Now if I want to again release it, there we go. Just like that. Let's lock it back in and mount this to my camera, but first let's get that screen protector on. Here's the included screen protector, made of plastic. Odd design choice, especially when everything else is made of pretty much metal on these tabs here, but this body here is made of metal. This little knob here is made of plastic. So there's a bit of plastic, but most of this is very strong metal, so that's good. But let's apply this and see how this looks and how it works. Tabs at the back, fits in the grooves. Now, one thing we have to do is lift this right here. Now we can push it in to where we need it. And note, you don't have to have it installed all the way. You can lock it where you need it because your screen may end up higher or lower. Now let's unlock this for sizing. So if I want to, I can put it this big, and yes, I can fit the 4-inch screen of the Nikon ZR, no problem. And I have a little bit extra to spare. So note that one. I think we can fit a screen about 4.5 inches, maybe max. For measuring, if you don't know what the size is, we can, yes, push down, but pulling up seems to be locked out. So note that one, it can actually hold the screen decently. Let's check out how good this is for going, opening, closing, tipping down. So it goes all the way here. So it's a little bit more than fully 180, and it can fully close. Now I might need a bit more room, in which case I'm going to pull the lever right here. And I'm going to slide this out to where I need it. I'm going to leave this out for now, so I have enough room to mount the camera without without too much struggle. Here's my Sony a7C II. You'll notice the plate is this direction. With the camera cage, the Smallrig camera cage, at least this one, I have to mount it this way if I want to apply both screws at the same time. You're going to slide it in. There's little pins right there, and that's going to make it a little bit more finessing. There it is. The pins are holding it so it doesn't just fall out. Locks into place right there, and now is nice and secure on this plate. Now let's do an adjustment again just to see how nice and smooth this goes. You can hear where it's 90 degrees. Now if I go this way, what happens? Yes, you can mount it this way if you really wanted to. I wouldn't suggest that, but what if I want to pull my screen out? Let's see how hard or easy that happens to be. There we go. And now I can lock her into place. And let's see if we can get it lined up with the screen protector and slid back. There we go. Something's not lining up here. What's going on? Well, that's not quite right. Let's see if I can do anything about this. By maybe moving this side to side? Let's see if that fixes our little issue. Go nice and tight, these screws. Now, here we go. There we go. Now it's nice and flat. That's where I want to keep it, right there. So now I'm going to tighten our screws right on the bottom of this. Sorry about flimsing around. I'm trying to look at my camera screen at the same time. There we go. I'm going to push this down. There, locked into place. Now, if I need to adjust, of course, I can flip it this way. And maybe I want to put this bottom part a little bit tighter. Let's see if I can do that. This is going to be very, very tight to the point of not having much adjustment left before it comes off. There we go. And you can see it's nice and secure. I'm going to put it as close as possible. Now that I have this mounted on the camera, let's check out the power on and off of this. We simply press the button. It is on. We can see that red light. And you have to hold it until it turns off. So if I press it, it's not going to turn off. See? We have to hold it. So note that one. So if you press by accident, yes, it'll be powered on and probably drain the batteries eventually. So just keep that in mind. At least it has a light that's fairly obvious. Now let's try to power, say something. Let's power my D-tab little light here so we can see which light this is. So this is one of my Aperture Amron lights, little small one. Here I have my D-tab cable. So let's check the mounting of this. In this case, I can mount it underneath. It's very, very stiff, so note that one. I guess probably because it's new. But that's a good thing. It's not going to fall out by accident at all. Not even close to falling out by accident at all. And there we go. So the one on the bottom, at least for this D-tap, will face this direction, and these two at the top face this other direction. That's fine. And now I'm going to connect the D-tap of this light right up here. Let's see if I can show that right there. And I'm going to turn the power on right here. There we go. So just like that. The part I don't like, see? Power stays on at a touch of a button. Let's test the USB-C to see if it works for charging my camera. I have a 90-degree cable here that's very useful for cleaning up this setup. So I can have something just tight to the camera, as we can see right there. Now, is it charging the battery? Yes, it is. We can see that light right there. So that's a nice clean, at least fairly clean setup. Now, if we had a camera monitor, there is really no point in having this showing. So this keeps it tidy and gives you a more professional look if you're using other equipment with your camera. This particular monitor at least has a USB port for power. And yes, it can power the monitor as well as power the camera without any issues. Now, the one advantage with this battery using this plate in such a way is we can still see the percentage of battery level. Now, if I were to power the camera directly from this, which I reviewed in another video, let's unplug that and then, okay, see the percentage? Watch what happens. See, that percentage disappears until we unplug it, and now we can see that percentage again. If this wasn't here, and I take this off, remove that there. Does that look professional? Not really. If you're finding this information useful, remember to subscribe to Spark eStudio and help this channel grow. Yes, that screen protector could have been metal, but of course it is a lot less like the scratcher screen if you flip it this way, being plastic than metal. So it might be kind of cheap, but it's kind of a good thing. Now let's continue on. Here is a different battery. This one is from Shape. And yes, the screen protector fits just fine. And of course, if it doesn't, all we have to do is adjust the screws here and it should be just fine and dandy. Now this looks really cool, if I say so myself. Looks very much professional, a lot more professional I think than even say a rail system. So there we can go and see that. If I remove the battery, okay, there it is, and I can place it back in. Do we notice the power instantly goes on? You don't see the red button, but the power instantly goes on. So I guess we have some quick swap capability here without having a need of pressing the button in case we forget. If I remove the battery and reapply it, it's only the USB ports that still has power. Because if I press the button, now my D-tap's on. Now I'll remove the battery. Now I'll place it back. There's those USB ports powered on again, but not the light. Of course, if the USB ports go on, the D-tap doesn't go on. And boy, is this tight. That's very, very tight. If you leave it on your desk, you have it powered off, it could, not saying it will, but it happened to me several times that it powers back on. And that is not what I want. Sadly, actually, I guess sadly, might be actually, thankfully, it's not doing it on camera. I guess thankfully for Smallrig, because that would have looked really bad. But note, it does happen. Of course, leave your comments down below and I'll try to do my best to answer those questions for you. Thanks again for watching and have yourselves a most wonderful day.